Folks, my name is Spunks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was Sing 2, making $4.2 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $139 million and a worldwide total of $292 million. So the movie continues to hold well. It fell 14% from last weekend, which is very good, and this puts the total just on the cusp of $140 million domestically, which it should get to in the coming days, and also puts its worldwide total just 8 million away from 300 million worldwide. And given where it's at right now and how it still hasn't released in Japan yet, I believe they don't get it until late March. I think those numbers will definitely help it boost the numbers for this film and definitely make it not only the first animated film worldwide to surpass the milestone, but the first animated film to surpass that milestone since Frozen 2 worldwide, which would be quite an achievement. So yeah, another solid weekend for Sing 2. Not much more I can add here. It's still doing very well, providing that scapegoat for families to go check out something as they wait for something new to hit theaters. As I've said many times before, not much for families to go check out with each other right yet. And while I do believe this will be the last time we see this movie in the top 5, it should not put a detriment into this film's success, as it not only became the first animated film to surpass 100 million domestically and just the biggest animated film of the post-pandemic overall, it's still a massive hit on a budget of 85 million, doing this successfully in theaters. And keep in mind, it's also available to watch at home on demand right now. So, with it doing this well and causing more families to rather check it out at the theater than at home is quite impressive, to say the least. And all in all, this film had just a really spectacular run at the box office. It quickly became one of the top 10 highest grossing films of the past year, which is insane to believe that it was Sing 2. I mean, I like the movie, but I definitely expected this to happen to an animated film earlier in the year. But the fact that it was Sing 2 once again shows how big and how successful this film was to core audiences. So Sing 2, it's been a hell of a run, but great job once again. Number 4 was Scream 5, making $4.7 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $68 million and a worldwide total of $120 million. So while I do believe that this will be another film to leave the top 5 by next weekend, and I also not sure if the film will become the first of 2022 to cross 100 million domestically, let alone get close or surpass the 90 million total of Scream 3, that should not put a detriment to this film's success at all, as it is still a huge win for Paramount and Scream in general. Like I said a couple weeks back when the film initially released, Scream 4 was a disaster. It was a flop, and many people were skeptical about bringing this franchise back, but Scream 5 was able to do so, as it's about to cross 70 million domestically, which it should do in the coming days, and it has already surpassed 100 million worldwide on a budget of only 24 million. That is a hit if I have ever seen one. It just shows how great the marketing was and how well received this movie is doing with audiences. Even though things kind of slowed down in that second weekend, it's still able to maintain that core audience and keep bringing in more success. And I'm sure everyone who saw this movie and liked it is happy about it, and I'm sure everyone who made this movie is happy about it. And I can definitely tell you that Paramount is happy right now, as recently as last week, they recently announced that they are making a sequel to Scream 5. Scream 6 is in the works. It should be coming out sometime in the future. Who knows what they'll title it? Maybe they'll call it Scream 2 again, just for the hell of it. Wouldn't that be hilarious? But once again, that shows how successful and how happy Paramount is with how well this movie is doing. So despite that, it is definitely slowing down right now. It's below 5 million, and given the competition coming up this weekend, it's for sure not going to be in the top 5. It doesn't stop the fact that this film is a huge hit for Paramount and the Scream 5 franchise overall. So once again, congratulations, Scream 5. You were able to bring back a supposedly dead franchise back from the dead. Good on you. Number 3 was Spider-Man No Way Home, making $9.5 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $748 million and a worldwide total of $1.7 billion. So once again, Spider-Man No Way Home has been dethroned from the number 1 spot, and it looks like for real this time that this movie will stay that way. It'll now start to be falling lower in the charts due to the much more bigger competition hitting theaters in February than January, and how it's already below 10 million at the box office right now. And like I said many times before, that's not going to detract from how successful this movie is, because remember when I said how it wasn't very likely that this movie would surpass Avatar domestically? I thought it would get very close at the very least, and it's closer, right? $1 million close to, as a matter of fact, as at the time of this recording, Avatar's domestic total is $749 million. Spider-Man is $748 million. And given how math works, even though I suck at math, I can safely say it is going to surpass Avatar domestically very, very soon. Worldwide, that's another story. It still has a long ways to going to getting near that total. But domestically, it's about to surpass Avatar to become the 3rd highest grossing film of all time domestically, right behind Avengers Endgame and Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is incredible. And given how well it's doing, I can even see it crossing $1.8 billion worldwide, because, why not? This movie is such a behemoth right now, and even me saying earlier that it's finally going to start falling down the charts, it's still going to be here for quite some time. I just don't know how things work at the box office anymore with this movie. I just don't know what to expect anymore. But just know that this movie is still a huge hit. It's still doing very well, still bringing audiences into theaters. Yeah, what else to say? It's still doing very well, and it's about to cross another milestone, which we'll probably talk about next week. Number 2 was Moonfall, opening to $9.8 million domestically and $10 million worldwide. Now, look, on this show, we have covered many flops, many films that underperformed or disappointed, or just flat out just didn't do well at the box office. I do not believe for this entire time I have been doing this show, I have seen something quite like this. This is more than just your run-of-the-mill flop. This is a catastrophe. With how low this movie opened with, I do not see a silver lining anywhere at all for this movie. This is the worst case scenario you could possibly have with this movie. Many of you are probably asking, whoa, why are you being so hard on this movie? It opened low, sure, but I'm sure it could make it, but no. The fact of the matter is that this movie was really expensive, as it costed a whopping $140 million to make. This is a huge movie that I'm pretty sure many of you did not really care about, as the marketing wasn't all that great. I saw promos for it here and there, but not to the extent that I'd call it like a blockbuster or the marketing was stellar or anything. And it clearly shows audiences weren't really aware of this movie or just thought that the movie didn't look all that appealing. And apparently, the movie isn't really all that appealing either, as reviews have been generally negative as of late. I believe the score the last time I read was 39 on Rotten Tomatoes. That is not good. And audience reactions on CinemaScore is also quite negative. It received a C plus. We talked about if your movie getting a B minus or a B plus is a little concerning. If a movie gets a C plus, that's even worrisome. So yeah, I'm not sure how this movie can salvage anything unless it does well overseas. If it does well overseas, international markets like China or the United Kingdom or some sorts, because this film was somehow funded internationally. Some international investments were laid into this movie, and the international markets helped this movie. I can see this being an Independence Day resurgence or even a Warcraft, where it does horrendously in the United States, but outside of that, it does fairly well to help salvage it a bit. But as for right now, whoo boy, it's on life. This movie's on life support right now. It's going to need a miracle. I mean, a miracle to even making a third of this budget. We'll see where it goes from here, but it's off to I can't even say pretty bad, just a terrible start in general. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, and that was Jackass Forever, opening to 23 million domestically and 28 million worldwide. So another solid hit for Paramount, and another solid hit for the Jackass franchise, as including Bad Grandpa, this is the 5th film in the 5-film franchise to open to number one, and is the first comedy, R-rated comedy, I might add, to hit number one since Good Boys in 2019, and the biggest opening for an R-rated comedy since, I believe, Zombieland Double Tap, which is crazy. Now, there's a lot to go in here about why this movie made as much as it did. First off, obviously, the movie is not expensive in the slightest. It only costed $10 million. So, and with the fact that it's now doubled that domestically and nearly tripled it worldwide, this movie is going to profit extensively and just really make a profit for itself. And I think a lot of that values to the IP. Lots of people love Jackass. They know what it is, and they're interested in how they're going to top the last one. And given how long it's been since the last one, that many people are concerned with like their age and what can they do. Are they going to do something that's life risking? Are they really going to do something, another one of these, which I think added to the general discourse and the anticipation over the film. And I also think the marketing was stellar. I saw tons of promos for this movie. Paramount really got the word out. There were ads, there were little skits I saw on like TikTok, and there was even a whole promo they did with the WWE where several Jackass members went to like the Royal Rumble or something and actually fought with WWE champions. It was insane. And another thing that helped this movie is that the reviews were not just good, they were spectacular. I know very little people who say they flat out did not like this movie. I know a couple people who said, yeah, I'm not a fan of this franchise overall, but this one won me over. I actually really like Jackass Forever, which surprised me. This is already one of the most critically acclaimed, praised films of the year, and it's about to be one of the most successful films of the year. And the last thing I can say about this film's success is that I do believe it is a comedy, and people just wanted something silly and lighthearted and goofy to laugh at right now, especially right now where things are still a little iffy at the moment, and people can just watch this and laugh at these people just hurting themselves and doing these stupidest things. I think word of mouth is going to really help this movie out a lot. Not sure if it's going to be the first film of 2022 to cross 100 million domestically, but I can definitely see it surpassing Scream to become one of the bigger films of the year. So yeah, all in all, Jackass Forever is off to a really solid start. I look forward to seeing where it goes. I hope it is as successful as it is critically at the box office. As from what I'm hearing, it sounds amazing and I can't wait to see it. Look forward for a review later this week or in the coming weeks. I'm still deciding when I'm going to see it, but in regards to the box office, Jackass Forever is off to a very solid start. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this week, but we're not quite done yet as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we've got 2 major releases hitting this week, the first being Marry Me. This is an interesting one, as I can see in many ways this could have a solid opening weekend and also not have a solid opening weekend. First off, this is a new rom-com starring Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson, and they're off of a hot win streak right now, with Jennifer Lopez after the success of Hustlers and Owen Wilson hot off the success of Loki. I think fans might be interested in checking out their latest movie and seeing what they're like together on the big screen. And also, Jennifer Lopez has starred in many rom-coms in the past, and it's kind of a staple, one of her many staples of her celebrity status, and I think that might help the movie out as well. It's also Valentine's Day weekend. Valentine's Day is on Monday, and so I think many couples and many people just wanting to see some heartfelt rom-com just are eager to check this movie out at the theater maybe. And the marketing has been fine. I've seen promotion for it and they've been doing an okay job. I wouldn't call it spectacular, but they're definitely getting the word out at the very least. But I also think this movie is having many issues with it. First off, the buzz around this film is not all that strong. I don't see too many people talking about it or getting all that excited about it or aware about the film's existence, so that's going to be a problem. And it's also following in the same release strategy as The Boss Baby Family Business and Halloween Kills, were released in theaters and on Peacock simultaneously, so that's going to affect the film in some way, shape, or form, but we'll see how well this movie does. And the other new release hitting theaters this weekend is Death on the Nile, based off of the book of the same name by Agatha Christie, as well as the sequel to the movie based off of the other successful book by Agatha Christie, Murder on the Orient Express. This film has had a long ways of coming to theaters, as it was originally supposed to be one of the very first movies to bring people back into theaters. It was supposed to come out in September of 2020, but due to, well, the film received numerous delays, as well as some other behind the scenes icky concerning stuff about the cast that also affected the film's release. So there was also that, but it seems the film will now officially be released this weekend. And this is another interesting one, because in regards to Fox movies, this is probably the most amount of promotion I've seen for one of their movies since Free Guy. It's nothing grand or spectacular, mind you, but there's certainly been much more of a marketing push for this movie than, let's say, West Side Story or The Kingsman. It's probably due to the cast or the murder mystery element, maybe. I don't know, but there's been certainly a lot more marketing for this movie than the others, which is quite intriguing. And also, reviews have been released and they're okay. They're not great or spectacular, but they could have been a lot worse given the lengths this movie has had to endure to get here. But also, this is another Fox movie, and while there has been way more promotion and a much bigger marketing campaign for this movie, I'm not sure if that's going to help it, because it's definitely not receiving a huge marketing campaign. It's just bigger than the most recent films they've had. And given the controversy around several of the cast members and the okay reviews, I feel that many audiences and moviegoers are going to be split on checking this movie out, as well as the fact that Murder on the Orient Express wasn't that big of a hit. It did fine. It made a little over 100 million domestic and 300 million worldwide, but I wouldn't say it's a blockbuster, so this will be interesting to see. We will see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied? Unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.